Hello everyone, it's Gojira Prime here with a little video, and today we are taking a look at a recent acquisition I picked up from TF Nation 2026, and it is the Power of the Primes, Throne of the Primes, Optimus Edition. Now, this is a figure I've been umming and ahhing about getting since it came out years ago. Now, I'm talking about probably better part of a decade ago now, and I never got the original version because the mold and the toy itself seemed to get a lot of bad press from people in the fandom. So I kind of didn't bother getting it. But what attracted me to getting this particular version was that it came with the Throne of the Primes, and you also got 4 of the remaining Prime Masters with it as well. And I have to admit, now that I have had the figure and I've had a chance to have a play with it, have a bit of a transform of it, I can understand why it has got some of the issues or criticism, it has. But at the same time, I think this is actually an okay toy. I don't think it's as bad as what people made it out to be. So, as always, we are going to go through the vehicle mode, or monkey mode, the robot mode. We'll do some size comparisons, and we'll go from there. But first off, I'll just start off with the Prime Masters. You do get 4 of them with this set. You get this one here, which is, if I put my hand, I should focus better, there we go. This one is Almolgus Primes. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but that's that Prime Master. You have this one here, which is Nexus Primes Prime Master. Then you have this one here, which is the 13th Prime, so that's Optimus Prime's Star Convoy Prime Master. And then finally you have Primer Prime's Prime Master. Now, what I find quite nice about this one is they've actually done the new version of Primer in the same colors as his Prime Master. So I don't know if they intentionally did that or not, but there you go, they're the same color. You do also get this thing, which is the Mace of the Primes, or Scepter of Sparks, and the Prime Masters will attach to this thing, and they slot in there, and I'll show you how they go in there in a little bit. So first off, we'll start with I'll just change my camera angle here. We'll start with the Super Monkey mode, and this was Optimus's big gorilla mode in the show. I never had the original Optimus or any of its repaints with when it was like an Optimus Prime repaint. I'm a bit surprised they've not done the Optimus Prime repaint with this one. It would have made sense to do so, but I guess they didn't want to use the mold much. Now, I have to admit, it looks good. In this mode, the Super Monkey mode does look really quite good. Plenty of nice molded detail. The arms are on ratchet, well, not ratchets of some sort, they don't ratchet, but they're on some sort of hinge that goes all the way around. You've got some posability in the fingers. They just all move at once, though. And he's able to hold the scepter in this mode as well. The head is on a little joint, so it will spin or go around just a little bit like that. The legs, you've got motion back, forwards. You can get a bend at the knee to a certain degree there. And he does also have a little bit of ankle tilt, and he's got these big clawed monkey feet there. But the legs won't go all the way back because of, well, what is the main problem with this toy, quite frankly, is the huge robot backpack that is sticking on the back of him. This backpack is the core robot of the figure, and, you know, I can understand why people didn't like this, because it's just all hanging out there for the world to see. Unlike with the Star Convoy figure and the Rodimus Prime figure, the core robots molded into the trailer. Obviously, with this, they couldn't do that, so there were some limitations. These smokestacks here at the back, for lack of a better term, they're actually his hand weapons or blasters. They've got a, let's take one of them, have a look. So it's molded in black and silver plastic, and it does have a maximal sticker there on the side. But all in, you know, if you're looking at this thing head on, just take a look at the let's have a look at his face. There's the monkey face. It's quite a good thing, actually. It's nicely molded. I like it. There's lots of nice detailing on the front of this toy, don't get me wrong, and I think that's great. The joints on this thing are really, really stiff as well, which is also quite nice. It's just the big problem is that the backpack. That does detract from it quite a bit, but there you go. There's not a lot we can say about that. Now, as well as forming this monkey armor suit, it does also form a vehicle mode, which I'll get to later. But what I'll do now is I'll just pause the video and we'll take a look at the core robot. So here we now have the core robot detached from the main suit of armor and in a very, very questionable vehicle mode. This is probably one of the worst vehicle modes I have ever seen in my life for a Transformers toy. I think when they did the Beast Wars BotCon set years ago, they used, I think it was Crumple Zone from Transformers Cybertron for the vehicle mode, and that looks brilliant as Optimus Primal. It really, really does. But this thing is utter garbage. It really, I mean, that is a terrible vehicle mode. The robot head is visible. The chest section is visible. The feet are clearly visible. There's been no attempt, really, with this core robot mode to generate a decent vehicle mode. Compared with the Star Convoy, the original Optimus Prime mold, the Rodimus Prime, there's been no attempt, really, I think, at this vehicle mode at all. I mean, you can even clearly see the matrix of leadership he carries in his chest section. Now, just to take this matrix out, I'll admit, this is actually a pretty good-looking matrix. I have no real complaints about how this one looks. It is far better detailed than the matrices we got with the Star Convoy core big robot and the Nexus and others. So they've actually made it look like the Matrix, which I think is really good. And that just sits in the cockpit section here. I would have preferred it a lot better if they'd... it doesn't even stay in place, the front section. Maybe I've mistransformed that somehow. I don't know. Maybe they could have done better if they'd done that in like a blue plastic, you know, a clear or a dark blue plastic. It would have been a lot better. But yeah, the vehicle mode is utterly awful. It's meant to be, as I understand it from the instructions, a surfboard for this guy. Now, I'm not entirely sure how you attach him. But he's meant to just, I mean, I'm not going to do it too much. He's meant to just like stand on it, and then it's meant to be like Optimus Primal in Season 2 of Beast Wars, when he has a surfboard that comes out of his feet. But yeah, I think it's bloody awful, quite frankly, this bit. This is the big downside to this toy. It's just not very good. So we'll pause the video again, and we will get him into robot mode. Okay, so here we have the core robot mode for the Optimus mode, or figure. And as you can clearly see, it is decked out to look like Optimus Primal in these color schemes. I can't remember what colors the other one was. I think it might have been the same, to be honest, from the original release. Now, just as a comparison pretty early on here, here is the Earthrise Optimus Primal, and here is the Power of the Primes Primal. They're about the same height. But yeah, this is a much better figure, don't get me wrong. But just as a comparison, that's how they depicted Primal here, and that's Primal there. The front of the figure looks fine. Lots of nice details. I think the sticker, though, is not particularly very good. They could have done a molded symbol, perhaps, or a less shiny sticker. I don't know. But aside from that, the front of the figure does have some very nice molded details that, you know, you would recognize as being Optimus Primal, with the leg designs, the shoulder pads, and you know, I have to give credit where credit's due. The face sculpt is very, very nice. I can't fault that face sculpt. Articulation-wise, the head will spin on a full 360. The arms will rotate on a full 360. You've got movement at the elbow. The hands do not rotate or move in any way, shape, or form. The legs will go forward. There is bend at the knee. There is no ankle articulation. And again, the legs will not go back because of the backpack. It's just a massive, the front end of the vehicle mode just sits there. I mean, you haven't even got a cover for the super robot head, which is really annoying because they did hide them in the other vehicle modes. I mean, as a comparison, here's the Star Convoy robot. It is bigger than the Optimus Primal one. I think it's also slightly better because with this one, at least, they hid the super robot head very, very well in the toy. So it feels like a lot of compromises were made in so many ways for this particular toy. I mean, he's got this massive butt pack here with the Matrix. I mean, that's not great, if I'm honest. Front-wise, yeah, this thing looks really good, really nice. Can't fault it much. It's got a lot of nice detail. But the back with his backpack with the Matrix hanging out down there and his head sticking out around there, that's not great. That is a big, big downside. So, yeah. Just as another quick size comparison with this vehicle mode or robot mode before we do move on, here he is with Earthrise Starscream. And here he is with Crasher. So it's about a normal size deluxe class figure at the end of the day. So Super Monkey mode is good, but again, the backpack is a problem. And this robot mode, it looks good from the front, but again, the backpack is a problem. So there we go with that one. So I'll just pause the video and we will take a look at the vehicle mode next. Okay, so now here we have Optimal Optimus, or Optimus Primal, depending on what you want to call him, in his super jet mode thing. Now, I've seen pictures of the original Optimal Optimus, and the super jet mode thing was questionable even then, and this thing is questionable even now. Basically what this is the armored suit laid out flat, and then it's trying to look like some sort of an aircraft mode. It's weird, I have to be brutally honest. And if I'm also honest, it's not a great vehicle mode, in my honest opinion. It probably would be better if the cockpit section, again, had a dark blue canopy and actually tabbed into something, because you just are literally just folding it down there, hanging by a thread. It doesn't tab into anything as far as I can see here in the instructions or anything else I've referenced. So that is a bit weird that does not happen. Again, this backpack, this top core robot vehicle thing, spoils it a little bit, really, at the end of the day, because you still can see the super robot head mode. And you shouldn't really be seeing that. I mean, it doesn't even have any engines, and you're supposed to believe this thing can fly. I know it's a toy from a TV series and all that sort of thing. But yeah, the vehicle mode, I'm just going to put my camera up here. It's a weird vehicle mode at the end of the day. But at least it's using all the components for the robot mode in this thing. I mean, he's meant to tab in somehow. And the problem is, whenever I go to pick this thing up, I'm lifting it up at the front and there's nothing holding it there. It's meant to tab in on the feet, but I can't get mine to tab in on the feet as well. So they do still move quite a bit. I mean, I'll say this much. It does look a lot like the original toy did back in the 90s. The original toy did have another mode, which was a motorcycle vehicle mode sort of thing, but this does not do that, thank God. I think this toy's biggest problem is that it was trying to be too many things at once, and everything has kind of suffered. The core robot mode has suffered, the monkey bot suffered, the jet vehicle mode has suffered a little bit as well. So yeah, not my favorite vehicle mode in the world ever, but never mind. So what we'll do is I'll pause the video now and I will get this thing into super robot mode. Now, before I do move on to the super robot mode very quickly, I just want to do the scepter of sparks thing. So you can either have it in this mode, which is without any of the Prime Masters installed, or what you can do is you can just pull this section down here and you have little tiny tabs there and a hole there. And what you do is you literally have to bend each Prime Master forward so that they will fit in there like that, line it up somehow, partially using the force, because this is not an easy thing to get in. And then they should just clip in like that. And you can basically install 4 Prime Masters at once into this thing. Like this. Sorry if there was a bit of a pause blast there, but it was taking me so long to do these things. Now, I have to admit, like this, with the Prime Masters installed in it, it does look okay. It looks nice. It's a weapon powered by the Prime Masters. Great. Okay, no problem. So then that takes us onto the Super Robot mode. Now, I have had some genuine complaints about this figure, and I think they are, I've seen other people's complaints, and they are perfectly justifiable. The Super Robot mode, like with the Star Convoy and the Rodimus and the Nexus Prime mode, makes up for a lot of the issues with this figure. The Super Robot mode in this thing is genuinely very, very nice, I have to admit. It does still suffer from the same problem, however, which is the enormous backpack hanging off his back there. And it is literally just hanging off his back. The back of this thing does not actually plug in, as far as I can tell from the instructions or from doing this, because you have to move the shoulder pads back and up in order to fill out some space. And where you think this section here would tab onto, it doesn't. There's no room for it to get in. So it literally just has to hang there like that, which I don't think is particularly very good. But aside from that, I do like the Super Robot mode. The face sculpt, again, is very, very nice. I do, again, and I've said this about 3 or 4 times now, I do wish this was in blue plastic, not clear plastic, but there you go. The arms are on a full 360 swivel there, and then arm move at the elbow. The super fists do move round. I don't know if I demonstrated that in the Super Monkey mode. And again, you've got the finger articulation and the thumb articulation there. If I can just stand it properly, there we go. The legs will move forward. They will move back. Because of how the backpack is attached, you can move the legs all the way back. And you also get that there. And if you are seeing little Facebook notifications come up, I do apologize because I forgot to turn the Wi-Fi off on my phone. Knee does bend very, very nicely, and you do get ankle pivot there as well. So you can pose this guy in some very, you can pose him in some pretty good poses. So all in all, despite the backpack problems, I do like the Super Robot mode. Now, just as a comparison with another Power of the Prime's Super Robot mode, here he is with Nemesis, just to give you an example. So he is taller than Nemesis, but only because his shoulder bits are sticking way up in the air. Here he is, again with Starscream. So he's still quite sizable. He's a big figure. This was a leader class figure back in the day. Here he is with his Earthrise counterpart. And then finally again, here he is with Crasher. So he is quite big. Now, before I forget, obviously you get the scepter. He can hold the scepter. You just open up the hand. You can see these little tiny square bits here. These are meant to go into the holes here on the hand. And then you just slot them in like that, close it up, and there is Optimus Primal with the scepter. The other accessory he does come with, which I haven't mentioned as of yet, is his crown, which is in gold plastic. Some nice colored detailing on the front there, and with a little maximal symbol, and you can pop it onto his head. I will say this about the head sculpt before I just do that. The head sculpt is more prime than primal, in my opinion, but that just might be me. But it's still a very nice head sculpt. And again, you just pop that onto his head there, and there you have King Optimal Optimus. That's probably not what he was actually meant to be called, but I'm calling him that. The other thing you can do with this figure, obviously part of the packaging for this figure, and God did it take me a while to get it out of this, is you have the Throne of the Primes. And this is the cardboard interior which forms a throne, essentially, for Primal to sit on. And it's very nicely detailed, so I am going to be keeping this, obviously, because it's meant to be kept. I've managed to get most of the sellotape off it, I think. But you can see here on the sides, you've got Hound, Star Convoy, I don't know which one that one is, and Deathsaurus, I think maybe that's meant to be. And I think these were the other options available for the fan vote that was going on at the time. You also get this section here, which is clear plastic on a piece of card, which will rotate round, and you can put all your Prime Masters into this, and they cycle round, and you just take them off whenever you want. Now, obviously, this being a throne, it is meant to be sat on. So you take your Primal figure after he's dropped the scepter on the floor. It isn't the best holding hand in the world, I'll be brutally honest. You take your Primal figure, fold his legs, and then try and stick him on the throne. Let's get his scepter back for a second. Line it all up. And there he is, sitting on his throne. Now, obviously, there's also a card back insert here as well, which, if I just bring this in, it's got some nice picture of jungle, a maximal ruin on it. I might keep that and just, stick it behind Primal on the shelf or reattach it somehow. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But there you go. That is Optimus Primal Throne of the Primes edition. So, do I think this was worth getting? I'm going to say yes. I am glad I've added this to my collection. Yes, the figure does have a lot of compromises, and I think it has a lot of compromises because of what they were trying to do with at the end of the day. They were trying to do too many vehicle modes, too many alternate modes. And I think they kind of lost the plot a little bit maybe with it, and it has suffered because of that. That backpack, that core robot vehicle mode is truly abysmal. It really, really is. It suffers from having a massive backpack no matter what you're going to do with it. But all in all, aside from that, the Super Monkey mode, the Armored Monkey mode, is very, very good. Again, the backpack problem. Super Robot mode, which you see here, I think is very, very good. So those two modes do help to make up for the vehicle mode, which is just weird and doesn't really work for me, and the core robot mode, which I just think is a little lackluster in some way, especially with that vehicle mode. The figure itself in robot mode is fine. I have no problem with it. Again, the backpack situation. But like I said, I think they were making a lot of compromises with this figure and trying to maybe do too many things at once with it. But I have the figure. I actually like the figure. It's going to be on my shelf, sitting on this throne. I'm going to get all my Prime Masters put into the back section up here. And that's it, really. So I think I'm not going to say what I paid for this guy. But if you do get him, or if you do see him, I think he's an interesting thing to have in your collection. It's not perfect by any means. It just is not perfect. But I'd give this figure maybe a 7 out of 10. But I like it. I'm glad I've got it. I think it is something worth having in your collection. But that's just my opinion. Do let me know what you think in the comments section. Please hit like, hit subscribe, and thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video.